see this right here. So when I go inside the vase, I'm going to see where I'm at. Any questions? Okay. So what I'm going to do is hollow. So I'm not turning. Good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn from here to here. And then we're going to stop and switch over. And if you notice, I got the banjo here. This piece right here is from Steve Center. I got Steve Center's piece that goes into a banjo for the D-ring, and on my real big hollowing tool, I don't have to have a separate stand. So this is a stand for Steve Center. What's really nice about it, you can mount this in middle here. That frees your banjo up to come back here, because otherwise you would have to put your banjo over here, turn this part, stop, bring your banjo back over here, turn this, bring it back over here. This way, you can leave everything set up. And if on these little vases like that, you can kind of turn, you know, a couple or two or three at a time. You turn this part, then you do all that, then you bring and do this mess. Because like I say, when you rig up the hollowing, this here, you kind of want to have a few to do, just because it takes a while to rig this whole thing up. So on a small piece like this, if you're only doing one, you know, to me, it's really not worth rigging up this whole hollowing system. You know, you just do it by hand. And I would recommend, if you haven't hollowed yet, to hollow by hand first. That way you get a feel for the wood, you feel for the sounds, because this thing there's still a little bit of skill, but it takes a lot of the skill out of it. But it's good to know when things start sounding different and then holding the tool. Okay, I'm going to suit up. We're hollowing, and let me know if you got any questions. In the beginning, you're just kind of getting rid of wood. So what I tend to do is I'll cut where I'm working my way down, and then as the chips start filling up, I'll go down to the bottom and just get rid of wood. And so in the beginning, you're doing this quite often. And then as you get a little deeper, you got more room for the chips to The question was, why didn't I turn the outside and then hollow? I want to leave all this mass back here. So when I hollow this, that eliminates the vibration and the chatter. So with this piece here, you know, I'm not moving a lot of stuff around. I can hollow this section, then I can come back here and turn the bottom to size, then hollow. Like I say, when you're hollowing and that piece is cantilevered way out, the more mass you can keep back here, the better you're going to be for chatter. And you can hear the tool every now and then. I'm getting, like that one time I kind of dug in there and I got a little bit too much wood. I mean, the whole thing starts shaking. So you have to back out. Now, if we were in a chuck, what happens sometimes is literally we might have moved it just a 64th of an inch inside that chuck, because this wood is just constantly compressing. And Jim Duxbury is an expert on chucks. and he has explained that before. So that's why we're on a faceplate, and it pretty well stays put. You get the chatter, you back off a little bit on your cutting. If you're getting chatter, you're either speed's too slow, you're taking off too much wood, you're cantilevered out too far. One or more of those things can be going on with the wood, and you got to start just making slight adjustments to get that chatter out of the wood. In this particular case, when we heard all that chatter, I was taking too much wood. Again, we started packing up with chips, working on that neck. So now I'm just going to go down here and just get rid of some wood. Tom's holder is it's bigger than my hole diameter down there. I'm just getting rid of wood. And what I'm slightly tapering. I can't get down to the bottom with this tool. I'm slightly just tapering the hollowing, maybe leave my wall thickness an inch or so. That's about as far as I'm going to get. So since we got this piece here, I can just slide my banjo up. And we're going to shape the bottom. So my screws go to here. This is how far I drilled. So I'm going to dig down a little bit here and then just shape this on around. Right, that's going to be my foot, roughly right there. And this is a very aggressive cut for getting rid of wood. Your tool, maybe about a 45-degree angle. And with this tip right here, this wing, you can get rid of some wood really fast. And I'm cutting with that tip right there, if you can see it. Just with that, the bottom wing right there with the tool about a 45-degree. And it's pretty well horizontal. My tool's horizontal, actually. So now I'm just going to blend everything in. I'm riding the bevel. I'm bringing the handle all the way around. And that was a catch right there. What I did, when I went into the bottom right here, I didn't close my tool close enough, got that little catch. I did that just to show what it looks and feels like. Just going to round this over right here a little bit. Okay. shape is close enough. Now I'm going to switch actually to a smaller gouge. To just be able to just take off with just a and with that, the nose, the wings on this tool are basically taken off. This is the tool I use for the inside of a cowboy hat. See what I'm doing there? If you can see that. I think we got water on the lens. You know, with this, the way this tool is ground, I can go inside that corner there and not get a catch. Shear scrape, tool is almost fully closed. Handle slightly down. And I'm just trying to get rid of any of those. See, I got kind of a corner there. And when I do my shear scrape, I do try to turn my tool rest kind of perpendicular to where I'm trying to scrape. And with that, this part right here sometimes is hard to get to. And sometimes you can get it and sometimes you can't. If you can't get it, then just pull out a scraper and just scrape. But right here it's just hard with these long tool rests to get in there to. All I'm trying to do is just soften that a little bit. Anyway, we'll call it. So that's we're going to call that our outer shape. Now we're going to go in there and hollow as much with this tool as we can. See, I'm double checking it. The outline still lines up. The cavity has filled up full of shavings again up front, because you want to hollow the top toward the back. That gives you your mass at the bottom to hold on to. That's about as deep as I can go with this tool. All right, we're clogged up again. Go back in. We'll work back on the top again. And right now I'm feeling for those bumps from the previous pass. So you can see I made it to there, and there's a chunk of wood here, and there's still going. So here's a chunk of wood right there. just eating away at it. So I'm fixing to, okay, we're packed up again, so we're gonna stop. I think there's a question maybe. I don't. The question was if I sand the interior. I don't sand the inside. I will when I get to it. I go in there with a yeah, right here. I got it. The question was about sanding the interior. When I'm done, and I'm going to do it by hand here. I won't rig it up here. If it's a real deep vessel, I will put this tool in there, and it's kicked at a 22-degree angle off the flat here. And that will smooth up all those little bitty bumps and irregulations and any fuzz you have hanging off there. I got a serious bump there. But anyway, I'll scrape it, and that's it. I won't sand. I'll sand a little bit past the neck that I can reach my finger, but I won't go. I only do like 80 grit or to 120 maybe, just to where it kind of feels smooth. But let me go in. I'm gonna hollow. I'm gonna clean up from here, about to here right now, because we're getting there. You know, you can see the light. See, I'm pretty thin down there already. I'm really thin right there. Right there. Right. And like I say, you got to get on something going in grain, you got to get kind of thin to take that stress out of the wood. So if you leave this thing really thick, you will get a crack coming out of the bottom wherever the pit ends up. Where that pit ends up, you will end up with a crack. So I'm just going to go in there now and just kind of smooth up the wall. And you can hear it. I'm just feeling for bumps, but you can hear the thinness of it going on now. And so on the bottom, I'm just going to kind of slowly angle the bottom. See right here, I'm trying to keep that wall thickness going straight from top to bottom. Then when here, I can't quite do it with this tool, but I'm just going to slightly angle that toward the bottom, and then I'll finish the bottom by hand. At a 22-degree angle, and you can hear it. I'm cutting there. I'm not cutting there. I'm not cutting there. And I'm feeling for any bumps in there. Let's take a look at it. I always stop it before I pull it out, especially on a hook tool. The hook tool will get you in trouble. And if you're just going to get this dust with the scraper. And below the nub, and I'll just come up and I'll just slice it off. And I might have to take 2 or 3 passes, and you get a nice little bottom, not too hard. All right, we're going to switch over to this camera now, and we're going to make sure we can see down in there. See, right there's the nub, right? You can't see the tool, but the nub it's pretty smooth here. So I can feel it's pretty smooth here. Then I run into that nub right there. That's sticking out. I don't know. I can't tell how far it's sticking out. Let's see if this. So I'm going to come in there, go underneath there, and just slice that off. I don't know if the light will help or not when I'm cutting. All right, we're going to pull the tool out, get it going. I'm going to go right below that nub. I can even make a pass here. I turned it a little bit into the direction of the spin, and you can see that shave. You can see that shaving coming off. I'm just going to define the bottom. Where's my head piece? So I'll define the bottom, which is pretty well. I'm just going to undercut it a hair with a parting tool. And part of my own logic is I'm going to leave a tenon on here to hold on to when I sand. So there's going to be a little bit of mass back here. But if I can keep this as small as possible down here, when this thing dries, this stress won't go up into it, and I will hardly ever get a crack. I don't do nothing to these things except just let them lay out and they dry. And usually have pretty good luck. So right now I'm just going to define the bottom. Our depth is right. Our bottom is about right here. So I'm just going to undercut it right there just slightly. And we'll make that our bottom. And then I'll take my gouge and just kind of finish it out. I'm closing my tool just to get rid of that shoulder. And that's just going to create me a little room for me to finish that cut all the way down to the bottom. And to me on a vase, I got a bump there and I got a bump there. But normally, on to me, any piece, you don't want any flat spots. So sometimes you take a rule, just go on and see if you see any flat spots. Like I say, I got one there and one there. But anyway, so that's the bottom of the vase. So right now, I'm going to take the faceplate off, flip it around. We're going to have to need about 2 minutes to flip all this stuff around, and I'll turn the bottom off of it. And put a small tenon on there. That will decrease the chance of a crack. We're going to reduce the mass in the vase. Again, end grain, cutting side grain. So what I want to do, I don't want to fight it. So I don't want to cut in this direction. I want to cut downhill, and it's just a nice smooth cut. You end up with a shaving versus sawdust. Tom's jig. So we're good. We can put her anywhere in there now for the size of the tenon. So I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit. I'm going to put a shoulder in there. If I was to keep on cutting that way, it would push that shoulder out of there. Just getting rid of mass. I'm going to just get a smaller gouge real quick here. Be able to clean up my corners. And then I'm going to undercut. I'm going to undercut the tenon. See, I'm open right there. You take the nub down to wherever you feel comfortable. Slow your lathe down. And when I turn too, I always have a, I would say a roughing gouge, it's still a bowl gouge, but I have a roughing tool. And then for my final passes, I have another gouge. That all it does is make those final passes have a clean as edge as possible. So right now I'm just going to get rid of this wood. Then I'm going to bring that 1/2 inch gouge back into play. Cut downhill again. Just getting rid of the wood. We don't want to lose where the bottom is. We know where the bottom is, right? You don't want to do that. That was, my tool skated away from me. What happened was, got in a rush. My tool wasn't perfectly parallel with that surface, and it grabbed and it pulled me uphill. So when you make your entry cut and there's no support behind the bevel, you need to have some pretty good pressure behind it, or make sure your bevel is parallel. Well, that gouge I made in the wood. Okay, I'm going to turn this way now so you can. So I took that, got that little mark out of wood. Now I'm just going to this is the bottom of my vase. Just undercut that just a hair. And I'm going to be careful that I don't do the same thing. Slightly undercut, concave. Then I'm going to get a really small, this is actually a spindle gouge. And really, you don't want to take that nub all the way off here, because it will pop off. And this, since this is end grain, I left that nub on there. Since this is end grain, if I was to keep on undercutting that, it would pull those fibers out, and you would have a small hole right dead center of the bowl, and the only way to get it out is the sand. You'd have to sand like, a 1/16 deep or somewhere in there. So you can just take a chisel, utility knife, whatever, and work at that to get that off, or just take a Dremel or something like that and grind it out. Then lightly sand this. This is all sanded. I do, when it's in this position, I sand the bottom portion of it, just because when it's like this, a lot of times you cannot get to the bottom. So when it is in this position here, I will sand this portion here. And I sand to 320, 400, somewhere in that area. All right, thanks a lot.